Hey Geometry, it is Sunday, it is Mother's Day, and this is a follow-up to the two-part barrel video that that you probably watched. So after I made that video, which I hope that you enjoyed, it was a really cool project, and I kind of realized after I watched it that the actual process of finding the center, you probably couldn't see on the barrel because I couldn't use a big old marker and stuff because I got to use that wood. So this is just a quick little recap of what I did to find the center of that circle, because sometimes this comes up in different places, how to find the center of a circle. And we talked about maybe 3 different ways of finding that center, 4 different ways. The way that I executed it on the top of that barrel to make the clock, that's what I'm going to do right now. So behind me is a circle. I had to trace it from one of my wood discs, so it's a little, it's not perfect, but there's no center there. There is no center. So what did we do? We talked about making a chord. And what's a chord? Edge to edge, but not necessarily through the center. So I'm going to draw a chord. Whoops. And because I need to find the midpoint of that chord, on my ruler here, I'm making this chord exactly 8 inches long. Why did I make it 8 inches long? So I can find that 4-inch spot, which is the midpoint. If you recall from watching the end of the barrel video, we're going to make 2 chords, but really what we're going to do with this chord is we're going to find the perpendicular bisector through it. So if we find the theorem from chapter 11, which we didn't get to yet, which I talked about in the other video, says that the perpendicular bisector of any chord on the circle, any one, will contain the center of the circle. So if I go back up here, I specifically made that 8 inches. There's the 4-inch mark right there. 4 inches is that dot. So I need a perpendicular bisector. Perpendicular bisector. Bisect means midpoint. Perpendicular means 90. Here's my square. Okay? Down in shop class they call this a speed square. Okay? At that midpoint, I'm going to make 90 degrees. Okay? I can extend it as long as I want. This is 90 degrees, boom, boom, it's a midpoint. The theorem that goes along with this method says that somewhere on that line is the center, but we don't know exactly where the center is. So what do I have to do to find the center? I'm simply going to do this process again. And if I do it a second time, the intersection of this perpendicular bisector with another one will give me the center. So this time I'll use blue, and I'll grab my ruler here. I need to draw another chord. So just to keep it different, let's make this, we'll come over here. This is going to be 6 inches now. Now why am I using nice numbers? Because I got to find the midpoint. There's 6 inches. And there is the 3-inch mark. Now listen, you don't have to use 6 inches or 8 inches. I'm just doing it to make it easy. Why? Because half of 6 is 3, half of 8 is 4. If you want to make it 7 and 7/16, go ahead. But we don't need to do that because we're in control of how big we're making these chords. So now I get my square out again. Boom, 90 degrees. Put that on here, right at the midpoint. Boom. Midpoint, there's my congruent marks. 90 degrees. There's the center. You may remember from the end of the barrel video, I did it a 3rd time. Why am I I did it twice to get my intersection. Now I have the center. If I do it a 3rd time, what happens? It immediately gives me feedback so I can check my work. when I find the center for that clock face on the top of that barrel, I'm probably going to do this about 6 or 7 times, because I want to really make sure that I have that center. Plus, when I make my chords, you know, remember the staves were kind of a little bit of crooked inside that hoop, so I really want to make sure I have the center, because once I drill the hole for the center of that clock face to put the mechanism in, there's no turning back. So, you know, there's that old saying, measure twice, cut once. Well, when it comes to drilling a hole, you got to make sure you know where you want to put that hole, because once I drill it, there's no going back. That hole's there. So that's why I'll probably do it 6 or 7 times, just to really verify. So let's do this one more time. Let's put in a larger chord. Let's see, we can go up here. I'll swing that. That's 10 inches. Oops, not quite. There's, erase that. There's 10 inches right there. There's 10 inches. Okay? So, 10 inches, half of 10. Half of 10 is 5. There's my 5-inch mark. What do I have to do through my midpoint? Perpendicular line. Perpendicular line right here, 90 degrees. Okay, I'll extend it just so you can see better. Okay, midpoint, perpendicular bisector, boom. There is the center of that circle, and that's a really easy way. It's a really easy way to find the center of a circle, because in most situations you can make a 90-degree angle with something, whether you have this tool, whether you have, you know, a compass, and we do the perpendicular bisector method that I showed you with constructions. There's lots of different other tools. You know, even if you don't have this, you know, here's a scrap board laying around. We can probably say that's really close to 90, and you could always use something like the edge of a board. Okay, you can find something for 90 degrees, and if you're using a ruler, make your chords nice numbers. Make the chord a nice number so it's easy to cut in half. Okay, so I know this process I explained extensively in part 2 of the barrel becoming a clock video, but you probably couldn't actually see what was taking place because of the pencil on the wood. But here it is on the whiteboard. This is how you find the center of a circle. Okay, and one quick thing that I want to mention, I think I did mention this in that video too. You know, these are chords. If I take that chord and I extend it past the edge of the circle, so that part is a chord. Now if the line goes outside the circle, now it's called a secant line. Okay? And if you draw a line that barely touches the circle like this, only touches one time. So if you have a line that just touches the circle one time, it's called a tangent line. So 2 very important lines in a circle. And I think I mentioned the other day too, in the other video, if we were in school, we were in chapter 11, we would be studying chords, tangent lines, and secant lines, and there's some really neat stuff going on there. Unfortunately, we're probably not going to we might touch on a little bit of it, but we have some more critical things that we have to take care of first. I hope you enjoyed the barrel making video. I hope this clears up some of the end of it, of how I actually did it. I did it really without measuring. You know, the only measurement I did was, okay, make an 8-inch chord, and then half of 8's 4. So that's pretty simple. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed it, and take care. We'll see you soon.